This video is looking at functions. A function in PHP is creating a new word. You've already got words like implode and explode that PHP understands. Echo you've already used. We're now possible to create your own words because not everything that you want to do is directly coded in PHP. The syntax for this very simply is you use the word function and you type the word function. You then type the name of your function, whatever you want to call it. And then you have a list of things that the function uses. These are variables and it's separated with commas. Obviously, curly braces to start the function, curly braces to end the function. Inside the function, you have whatever code's necessary to operate on your variables, to do whatever they need to do. And then you return some value. You can only return one value from a function in this fashion. And some functions do not return a value because they pass information backwards and forwards by other means. In terms of this variable list is a list of variables that are only understood by the function. So the variables you write here are not necessarily, and probably shouldn't be, variables that are actually named within the rest of your code. As an example, you might have a function called square and it takes a variable, in this case $x, and it does some code in here. And it probably returns some sort of value. This $x, when you use the function, we do something like this. Later on in the code, we do something like, okay, square, and we could in fact just put a number in there, or we might put a variable in there. What's important to understand is this variable here is $z. It is not $x. This variable is just being this variable is just a placeholder for what's being given to it. So this $z is what this function interprets as its $x, because this $z is the first variable in the list of possible variables. So it becomes the first variable in this list of variables. If this had more things in it, then I would have to pass more information to the function, otherwise it would complain. So when I use the function later on in my code, I have a $z, a $m, a $n, and the $z becomes the $x, and it does whatever it has to do. The $m becomes the second variable, the $y, it does whatever it has to do, and the $n becomes the third variable, which is our $q, and it does whatever it has to do. So you can see there that basically these are not variables in the program. These are the variables in the program and they are passed to the function. So when I use the function, it's passed here. All right, we're going to build up some code. Now you don't have an example of this code actually in the lesson. The lesson we're working on is still searching and sorting, and there's a section down here in the lesson which I've just called functions, and we're working on that space. You're going to create a file called exercise5_functions. We're going to demonstrate some of the material there. All right, so you're going to build this as you watch this video. So we're going to here and file and new, and it's a PHP file. I'm going to create it. Yes, in the background there you can see where we're going. This is our new function. We're going to save it, file, save as, usual sort of thing. going to be called exercise5_functions, just to demonstrate that. and off we go. In the body. All right, let's start in the body here. We're going to do our usual sort of coding. We're going to do our PHP, just turn on PHP. We're going to end our PHP, because I like to make sure we've got closes and ends already. And inside there, we're going to start creating our code. Probably for the sake of not being indenting as much as it's going to be indented there, I'm going to pull that back. Okay. So inside here, we have to look at our code. Now, the example I gave was function square. So let's create function square. Function, we're going to call it square. And we're going to pass it our $x. Right. This may seem like a poor choice of variable, but if you're just talking integers or just a whole number that's used as a placeholder or something like that, then I'm happy for the variables to be abbreviated like this. Normally I'd want the full Hungarian notation and camel case, but for a variable like this where you're just passing a number into something, or a variable is just a counter in a loop, you might just simplify it with just being a single letter variable. Not usually the case, is in this one. So I'm going to close my function there, and you can see it's being helpful to us and filling it in. Well, let's think what function square does. Well, I have a variable. It's going to be allow for decimal numbers. So I'm going to call it a float, and it's going to be float square. Okay. And how does float square work out its value? Well, it's a square function. So very, very simply, it's $x times $x. So no surprise there, that is the function. So we've defined the function, so square is now a word that PHP understands, and we can run the program, see what happens. And here we are, we're running this program. Nothing happens. And that's what I expect. Nothing should happen. We're going to leave this open because we're going to just refresh it rather than me going through the whole process of running the function multiple times. I'm just going to use the refresh button so you can see as we change this what's going on. At the moment you see it's an untitled document, not a good idea. Let's at least put a title in there while we're at it. So the title is untitled document, and we'll call this exercise 5 functions. All right. Why doesn't it do anything? Because this is just defining a word. It's not doing the word, it's just defining the word square. So I can come down here and I can use that word. I can say square. And notice that square is understood by the computer now. Why? And it's advising me here that square understands something called $x. It doesn't really tell me what $x is, but it says $x is the sort of variable that's expected. So if the variables here are in somewhat descriptive, then this could be somehow helpful to you. All right, and I'm just going to put a 7 in there. All right, and end with a semicolon. I'm going to run it. So I'm going to square 7. So I'm going to do my little cheat back here, and I've got it there, and I'm going to refresh it. It's certainly seen the new one because I can see it now up here. It says exercise 5 function, but nothing's happened. Why has nothing happened? We don't seem to be getting anywhere here. Well, let's go back to our code. Why did nothing happen? Well, sure, I squared 7, so 7 went inside my function. Something called $float square was given the value of 7 by 7, which is 49. But I didn't do anything with square. I just said square 7. I didn't say display it. I didn't say do anything with it. So maybe I should try echo. Please note, I'm going through this process because I want you to understand what functions do and don't do. So I'm going to echo. I'm going to save that. And I'm going to run it again. Refresh. Still nothing. Why is that? All right. Let's go back and look at what we're doing here. All right, what I've done is, sure, I've echoed my square 7, but this function does not return anything. This function actually returns nothing. Therefore, it goes ahead, it does this little calculation inside the function. There's something called float squares given the value 49, but it's never given back to the rest of the program. One more thing. If I say return, in other words, I say when you have finished, please return the result. Remember, float is Hungarian to mean it's a decimal number with a floating decimal point. This is return float. That means that this word square becomes the answer. So the word square, when I use it, becomes the answer. So echoing this one, echoing square 7 this time, should give the answer, because the word square becomes the answer. That's what return does. It returns what it's doing. Save this one. And refresh. And I get a 49. I hope you can see that in the corner there. There's a 49 on the screen this time. All right. So we've got a little way along what's going on. Going back to our code. Let's create another function just in terms of the method of creating functions. Normally I put the functions towards the top of the code. In fact, if you've got a whole series of functions that you're using, especially in a larger project, you may put them all together in their own page and make use of the include. So you can include that set of functions like a library into any page that you want to use those functions with. So you don't design them again. Your function should never be written more than once. All right. I'm going to create another function, fun function. And my function is going to be called hi there. There's an underline in there. And hi there requires a text variable called name. And my hi there is just going to create a new piece of text. So I'm going to call it text new. And it's going to equal hi there, and space for neatness, dot, which joins things together. It's going to join to it text name. There's our text name. And that's what it's going to return. Oops, it's going to return not text name. It's going to return text new, of course. All right, so this function here expects to be given a text name. It then puts hi there dot text name, so it adds that and makes this new string called text new, and that's what it returns. So hopefully now, I'm just going to split things up here because there's going to be a fair bit in here. So I'm just going to echo a break, and we'll use that a few times just to make sure we go to a new line. And this time I'm going to echo my amazing function called hi there, and we're going to say hi there Robert. And notice this time the hint here is that a text name is expected. It's sort of helped me to know what's expected by this function because I've named the variable something useful so that the person who later on is coding gets some idea what's supposed to be in there. It's just a handy way to do this. And we'll run this one. Okay, save this one. Flip back to our web page and refresh it. And I've goofed in line 18. Right. Right back here, I did not put semicolon at the end of the line. Okay. Often semicolon errors like this one says semicolon or brace expected. In line 18, it's usually the line before is missing the semicolon. Okay, let's refresh that. And we have 49, and it says hi there, Robert, because my hi there function literally puts hi there, at the start of whatever I feed to the function as a word. And I could do that this way. I could say create a variable. Notice this variable is not the same name. This variable is called text my name. And I can do the same thing again. And this time I'm passing a variable to the function, so I can pass straight text, or I can pass a variable. And just because I don't want this all junked together, I'm going to add the echo BR so it goes to a new line. Okay, so this time it's going to echo Robert, so it's going to hi there, Robert, and this should say hi there, who? John. And again, notice this variable is in the first variable position for the function hi there, therefore when it comes to here it becomes text name. So whatever's in this now becomes what's in this. All right, it's copied if you like, and then it goes through and does this process. And again, we're going to run that just to prove it works. Refresh it, and we have hi there, John. All right, has now been added there. So we've seen a couple of ways. We can pass an actual value, or we can pass a variable to a function. Now, what I'd like to do is now create a new hi there function. I'm going to call it hi there 2. And we're going to pass variables slightly differently. Sometimes you need to be able to actually pass more than one variable and change more than one thing. You need some way of actually maybe even editing the original variable rather than passing a copy. So I'm going to take this one because it's almost the same as this and create it again. We're going to call this hi there 2. So just put a 2 in there. It accepts text, but this time I want to say, hey, I want you to actually change the original text. I don't want you to return something for me. I actually want you to change what I give you. So I want that variable to be changed. You've got to realize that float, $float square, and $text new mean nothing here at all. If you ran those, it'd say variable undefined. It would come up with an error. That's because they're only defined, their scope is only defined inside this function. All right, they're only understood inside this function. So what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to use an ampersand, if you like, Shift 7. So just so you can see with the symbol I'm talking about. That says I want you to pass by reference into this function. In other words, I want you to actually, this function to operate on the original file, not a copy. The original variable, not a copy. So And let me explain what that's doing. Right, just making some edits there. So everywhere there's text new, I'm not going to return anything. So this function gives it the value, whichever value is put in the first position here, and actually says you can change that and do whatever you like with it. It's not a copy, it's the real thing. And what's it going to do? It's going to say to this real thing called text new, I want text new to be changed to be hi there and whatever you passed me originally. That means that variable has been changed. All right, so let's make a variable. Please note, because you're doing this, because it's expecting a variable, you can't just now put in Robert in quotes. It has to be a variable. And I'm just going to use my text name again. And there's Samantha. And this time, I'm going to be hi there. So I'm going to use my hi there too. I'm going to put in there my dollar text, my name. Please note, there's no point doing an echo. This doesn't return anything. So echo won't work. This function is going to operate on what was originally Samantha and change it. So text my name is going to change. So I'm going to demonstrate that by doing echoing a blank. Then I'm just going to prove I'm going to scroll up because that's getting a little annoying. Okay, I'm going to echo text my name now. And then I'm going to echo it after I've run the function. I'm going to actually echo the same variable before and after. So this function actually operates on the variable that's being passed. Why? Because it was passed by reference. That's what the ampersand means. Ampersand means actually use the variable I'm giving you. Don't just copy it. Copy the information. All right. So we're going to save that. And go to our web page. And again, I'm going to refresh it. And I should have had another BR. Let's do that just to make it clearer to you. BR is considered is a break to a new line. So just before that. Okay. Save that. All right. So what was in that variable originally? I realized I've printed the same, I've echoed the same variable twice. It was Samantha, now it's hi there Samantha. I've actually changed the original variable. Why? Because that was passed by reference. Okay, so I hope that's giving you an idea of all the things you can do with functions. Please note, although I've only got one variable here, you can just put commas and keep going. Just because this one is via reference, other variables may be used as copies within the program. So it depends on whether you want to actually doctor the variable passed to it or whether you just want to use something. All right. If you want to get the function to return a value, you have to use the return statement. Then it will give back. So you can use hi there as if it was a piece of text because it returns text. And so you can go on. All right. I hope that makes sense to you all. Functions in PHP.